Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter, and holy dung pods, the hype airship has left the station. Today Capcom has released two new teaser videos for the weapons of Monster Hunter Rise, and naturally we're going to be giving them a look, and I'll tell you guys what I think about some of the new moves that we are seeing, and I'll try to analyze the videos to the best of my abilities. So the weapons being featured today are the bow and the dual blades, so let's get started. This information is all available on the official Monster Hunter Rise website, which is where we're getting this information from. And they start things off by saying a varied arsenal of weapons enter a new hunting dimension with the 14 weapon types. Thanks to the Wirebug's powers, your actions are bigger, more powerful, and more spectacular than ever before. Anyway, let's get rid of the trailer voice, shall we? As you guys can see, this already has a bunch of placeholders. I'm not sure if these are already ordered or not, but if they are properly ordered, then that means that the next two that we'll be seeing is going to be the longsword and the lance, the heavy bowgun, the light bowgun, hammer, sword, and shield, gun lance, insect glaive, great sword, switch axe, and then wrapping things up with hunting horn and charge blade. So let's get started by taking a look at the bow here. They also have a couple of descriptions on some of the new skills that we'll be getting with the bow. The set, by the way, that the hunter appears to be using, I'm not 100% sure, because, you know, it kind of gives you a bit of a Zenogre vibe to it because of the color scheme, but it has all of these feathers looking around, so I believe that this is actually the Bishatten set. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, because some people have said it's Bishatten set. And I don't know, Bishatten, Bishatten, I don't know what the deal is. But the reason I think it's Bishatten is because you can see that this one right here is clearly Somnikath set from just the inspiration of it to the weapons and whatnot. It just looks very much like it comes from the Somnikath, so I would expect them to feature the two monsters that were featured in the last trailer, and it would just kind of make sense. So in case you guys are wondering what those sets were, that is my best guess as of yet. So anyways, we got here in the description a weapon built for range attacks, affords high mobility, fires arc shots to cover for allies, which could potentially mean no more annoying rocks falling on top of everyone from when people don't have brace deco, maybe, please. Because I remember at the start of Monster Hunter World, that was extremely frustrating with all of the bow users just like, oh, I'm making it rain, baby, making it rain. It was friggin' crazy. Like, it seemed like every other bow user you'd run into was just like, making it rain. And yeah, I hope that's not going to be a thing anymore. At least we don't see that type of shot in the video. So arc shots to cover for allies or power shots that hit hard. Coatings can be applied to inflict status effects. I would expect you also to be able to put power coatings, but we'll see how that works. Naturally, they don't go into full details on just about everything you can do with the bow yet. We're going to have to wait for the release of the actual game to figure all those things out. But they do give us two silkbind attacks, which, for those of you who don't know, these are the attacks that kind of utilize the wire bug gauge in order to do something special. So the very first one for the bow is the Herculean Draw. Use iron silk to strengthen your draw. Surge forward in a designated direction. Your attack is also empowered for a short time. Then we also have Silkbind Attack Focus Shot. Energy through harmony with nature. Dodge while crouching, and while crouching, your stamina rapidly regenerates. If timed right, you can nullify a monster attack while evading, which basically means invincibility frames. You can also use the left stick to change the direction in which you evade. So this is almost like, from the description here, sounds like it's almost like an absolute evasion for the bow. For those of you who've played Generations, you'll know what absolute evasion is all about. And the animation is even somewhat similar to that, so that will be very interesting. But let's check out the actual moves in a video. There's the Herculean Draw.
Here comes the pain! Get ready!
Focus shot.
It's the end of the line for you!
And that's all you get in terms of a video for the bow. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to mute the video so that we can talk about this a little bit and analyze the different things that we've seen here. So first things first, it looks like it's going to retain the moveset that you had, at least somewhat similar to what you've had in Monster Hunter World. It's not exactly the same because it looks like you'll actually have to modify your shots in order to get to the arc shots. Because like you will see here, they're just showcasing like the different silkbind moves and whatnot. Okay, so here's your regular shots, which looks like it's going to be very similar. You'll be able to switch between, you know, just like regular charge shots and the spread shots that you get with the bow, and you'll be able to dodge left and right to kind of maintain the charge of the bow. Like you can see right there, dodging left, right. You do 2 spread shots. And you also get the leaping attack, which this is really cool. I think that I'm not entirely sure because I've never played too much bow, as you guys are well aware, but I think that World was actually the first time that you got this leaping attack here for the bow, which is pretty cool. It allowed you to mount. We're still not exactly sure how mounting is going to work in Rise, but it's cool that you can still do the melee. Hengist used to call this, by the way, for those of you who watched Mighty Monster Hunters, used to call this move the showboat. Because it's like you're just like showing off at that point, stabbing monsters with your arrows. Here they show you the hunter modifying for arc shot. So you can see that he's aiming, he's charged up his shot, and then he's like, no, let's actually change it into an arc shot. And the arc shot isn't actually doing the usual that thing that you get in World of the rocks falling down. It's actually giving him a buff. Like, watch, boom. He gets a buff, red buff. I would assume that this means you deal additional damage or something. Because like you can see that he moves under it, boof, red buff right there. I'm assuming it's going to be more damage or whatever. It says that the arc shot serves to cover for allies. So it's not going to be like a super offensive move I wouldn't expect. And then you can see here, it looks like it's actually a heal because it's got little green sparkles on it. So I would expect this to be a heal or some kind of a regen buff or something along those lines. And it makes sense because back in the older days, bow was kind of considered more of a support type weapon almost. At least that's what I think. Please let me know if I'm wrong because like I said, you know, I really got in hard on Monster Hunter with World, even though I had played the previous games. Bow and ranged weapons in general is not something that I would explore too much. Here I believe that they show off Dragon Piercer again, yep, which is very nice to see Dragon Piercer making a return. Let's hope though that this time around Dragon Piercer is actually viable for, you know, more types of builds, because in World it was like, well, if you want to go Dragon Piercer, you have to go high raw damage bow. If you want to do elemental damage bow, really Dragon Piercer is just kind of like a fun little thing that you get to do every now and then if you want to. But in order to play optimally, you kind of didn't want it to use Dragon Piercer, or at least that is my understanding. And then you get the Herculean draw. Now, you guys can see that basically the character does an animation very much like putting down a coating on the bow, which is usually that's the animation for plopping down a coating. Immediately after he lunges forward, like watch, he lunges forward, and then pop. Herculean draw. It's kind of weird that they call it an Herculean draw because ultimately it just feels like she's stabbing herself with like stems or something. But yeah, apparently this is going to increase the amount of damage that you will be dealing. So there's the move again, boop, and it increases the damage that you deal with the bow. So it's kind of like a temporary damage buff. So yeah, this is going to be something that we'll see people use a lot. And it looks like you can also choose the direction in which you go when you do it. Like, here she actually advances towards the right side. Well, actually, this is the first one that she does, so she moves forward. Wait, no, this is focus shot already. Ugh. It happens shortly after this one. And there it is. Here she lunges forward, but in the next one, she's going to lunge sideways. There you go. So you can lunge sideways, forward, wherever, and it kind of maintains that fast-paced playstyle that you tend to get with the bow, which is really, really good, in my opinion, because, you know, it just makes the bow a very agile weapon. I mean, in World, bow is super agile and just super fun to play if you enjoy that kind of playstyle. At least that's definitely what it seemed like to me when I first played the bow in World, even though I didn't play it all that much, but... And then we got the focus shot. Now, the focus shot, you're going to have to pay attention to your stamina gauge because, as you guys can see, right there, your stamina fills up real fast. But you have to stand in spot after you do the dodge, because I think if you just start moving immediately after, you're going to lose the buff. See how your character is crouched, and then after you move, it resumes the regular recovery of stamina. At least that's what it seems like to me. But this definitely feels almost like an absolute evasion type of scenario, because like they said in the skill description, this is going to have invincibility frames, and it gives you quite a bit of distance, and you can choose the direction in which you dodge, so that, you know, you dodge away, you get stamina recovery, and then you can resume your offense. It's kind of like a disengage that you get with the bow, and it looks pretty damn nice, I'm gonna be honest. So bow is looking hella good for Rise, so all of you bow mains, rejoice. Now let's take a look at the dual blades, shall we? So right here, blades that deliver an onslaught of slices in rapid succession activate demon mode to dance deadly rings around your foes in exchange for stamina. So it's going to retain the same basic mechanics of the dual blades up until this point. You have the two silkbind attacks here. The Shrouded Vault, Dancing Blades of Vengeance, hurls you forward in a designated direction. Getting hit while in motion triggers a spinning attack. So this is like, it's kind of like a counter, like the dual blades counter, I would imagine. So you do the Shrouded Vault, and then you do it in a certain direction. You probably want to do it into attacks, because once you get hit, it's going to trigger a spinning attack. I'm assuming that this is going to come with also invincibility frames to make sure that you don't like die while you're trying to do the Shrouded Vault, but who knows, we'll see. Then you got the Piercing Bind, and this is something that I had already mentioned in the first video where they showed dual blades. I mentioned that this seemed like something that you would stab onto the monster, then you would have to attack the monster repeatedly, but here we go. Death by a strand of silk. Pierces a target with a kunai that detonates after a certain amount of time. Landing further hits where the kunai is lodged racks up extra damage that scales with each hit. Oh man, let me tell you guys something right from the onset, okay? As a Gunlance main during Iceborne, mechanics like this, I'll tell you right now, it's not something that I personally enjoyed with the Wormstake Blast, because this is kind of like, at least it seems to me, it's kind of like something somewhat similar to the Wormstake Blast, which the way it worked, for those of you that don't know, is like you stabbed something into the monster, and then you had to shell directly onto that thing. And it's like, it's fun for the first couple of times you do it, but then when you fight against a monster that's particularly agile, like say a Barioth, or some of the later monsters like Alatreon, Fatalis, stuff like that, monsters that either move a lot or that maybe potentially don't have spots that are easier to reach, or maybe there's some downtime on there. These types of mechanics is a little bit annoying. But, because the dual blades have a lot more mobility than the Gunlance, maybe it will be a lot better than what it was with the Gunlance, but yeah. So basically the idea here is you place the kunai on the monster, and then you repeatedly attack the spot where you place the kunai, and that will increase the damage of the kunai. But to be honest, from my experience, I don't see this being necessarily good. But we'll see, because I know that it looks good, because I've seen the attack in the video, and then the video is like, oh, this looks great. But yeah, in practice, when you're actually fighting against the monsters, I don't know. So let's take a look at it. Dual blades.
You're done for!
Shrouded Vault.
No getting angry!
Piercing Bind.
Say goodbye!
I'm not sure what the gain extra attack things means, because I didn't see anything like that in the skill description. Gain extra attacks, and it was done after Piercing Bind. Pierces target with kunai, detonates after a certain amount of time. Landing further hits where the kunai is lodged up, racks extra damage and scales with each hit. It almost seems like potentially a mistranslation. Gain extra attacks. It's more like extra attacks deal additional damage, maybe. I don't know. It's like, look, where'd they say it? It is here. Gain extra attacks. This was after a silkbind, right? Yeah, this was after they put the kunai on him, so yeah, I don't know what the deal is with gain extra attacks. I don't think I'm going to be gaining extra attacks. But let's actually analyze the footage bit by bit as we go through it here. You can see pretty much kind of like some of the moves that we had already seen. Now, one of the things that I instantly noticed is that you can now trigger the Beyblade kind of attack, which is whenever you jump on top of a monster, then start spinning across its back, almost like Attack on Titan style. You can now do that with the wire bug, which is one of the things that I was curious about, if you'd be able to just trigger that from a wire bug jump, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Like, you'll actually get to see it here soon. All of these moves is kind of like stuff that we've seen from the dual blades before. You basically, you know, you go into demon mode and then you can spam your triangle, or you try to go for blade dance. But usually what you really end up doing is, I was going to say spam your circle attack, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The spinning attack, which on the, what button would that be on the thing? It would be A. But anyway, it's the spinning attack that you basically dodge towards the monster whilst spinning, whilst dealing damage. And yeah, although you're not going to have the clutch claw attack to follow it up, so we'll see how that pans out. That right there was, and there's the Beyblade. So that is actually really cool that you get to trigger that, because this is an attack that you didn't get to see that often in Monster Hunter World, because you would need, I mean, you did get to see it, but it was always dependent on where you were fighting with the monster. So if you had a slope or something like that, then sure. Potentially if you had like a mushroom wall to run up and then jump into the monster, then sure. But in a lot of situations, you would end up not really seeing this. Like, and it was kind of frustrating because it's a really fun move to perform, and it also deals a lot of damage. So there's that. Also, you can see the sleep effects coming off of this weapon. So like I said, clearly this is Somnicant's weapon because it's a sleep monster. And there is the first one, Shrouded Vault, which is the one that we said is going to be like a counter type thing. So you're going to do it into a monster attack. So right there, the monster is attacking and is going to, I think this is the attack where he spews out some of his goop. And the hunter here is going to just charge right into it, using the Shrouded Vault silkbind attack, and he's gonna get hit while he's doing it, and that is going to trigger the actual counter attack that we were talking about. And it looks like you also get maybe a damage buff of some kind, because it's like, oh, that's just the look of demon mode. Demon mode has like this red aura to it now. It looks really cool. Like, you see how he's got like these red strikes? Those look really nice. Yeah, that's the new demon mode animation, I guess. I hadn't noticed that in the previous videos yet, but anyway, there's the Shrouded Vault right there. Counters the attack of the monster. We see a couple of more dodges here, and he's gonna go into the other one, which I forget what the name of this one is, the Piercing Bind. So you can see him setting it up right there. For starters, it looks like there's quite a bit of an animation commitment to this attack. Like, not too much. It's because they paused the video in between, makes it look actually more than it is. But yeah, you do need to find an opening. It's not going to be just like, oh yeah, I'm going to do my Piercing Bind like right now. And then you have to hit that spot repeatedly to increase the amount of damage that you're going to be dealing with it. It's just a matter of how lenient they're going to be in terms of whether or not you hit it. Like, say you attack it from the right, can you still hit it from the left? And that's still going to count, you know what I mean? Like, it's all going to depend on how lenient they're going to be, because with the Wormstake Blast, again, this is my personal experience, I didn't really care for it after a while. So you would have to pick significant, certain play styles to really work it out. Did we get new movesets when he did the Silkbind? Wait, it says gain extra attacks. It seemed like the attack animation seems like you're hitting double. Could it be like it's like Wolf's Maw in GU for those of you that played? Because that's kind of like the vibe that I get while he's attacking there. Like, look at how you see more attack animations, like more flashes of attacks while he's hitting. Like, yeah, I think it might be something similar to Wolf's Maw, which for this, at least I think it's called Wolf's Maw. There was this dual blades ability that you had in GU where basically you would, every attack that you did hit like twice. And it looks like that might be what's happening while Silkbind is active. That's interesting. And then Silkbind explodes at the end. So this actually might be really, really powerful. If you get twice the amount of attacks, then that's a different story altogether. So yeah, that might be what they mean by gain extra attacks. But either way, it looks hella good. And naturally, I can't wait to talk with Gaijin about this when we do the next episode of the Third Fleet podcast. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, hit up with a like. If you did not enjoy it, hit up with a dislike. Feedback is important, but naturally you can expect more coverage as more of the weapon videos become available, and I'll be covering all of it right here. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. If you usually enjoy the content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.